Alright guys, welcome back to my review of this week's episode of The Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 3, Walk With Me. And I did enjoy this week's episode. I want to go ahead and mention that my power has been flickering on and off. I do live in North Carolina, and we have been getting some bad weather down here, so I could lose power in the middle of this video, you never know. But anyway, on to this week's episode. This was a good episode, I thought, and I was surprised because Andrea is not one of my favorite characters. I find her very annoying, but the episode focused solely on Andrea and Michonne, I believe is how you pronounce her name. And I still liked it. It introduced the governor character, who is not a good guy, apparently. And really built up this little side story going on, along with the Rick prison story. So at the end of this episode, it looks like they're going to slowly combine these two. But for right now, they're focusing on this group. So it was good. It starts off with Andrea and Michonne seeing a helicopter crash land, so they go to the crash site to check it out, and these three trucks pull up. The governor's there, his group of guys, and they get out and they're clearing the area of zombies, and Michonne and Andrea are just watching from the bushes, and they actually save one of the soldiers, but then they just kill two others. So Andrea and Michonne are like, what the hell's going on? Of course, we see that they turned into walkers, but they don't realize this, so they think these people are crazy, and they don't want to reveal themselves. However, Michonne's zombies start freaking out for some reason. They start getting crazy and making a lot of noise. So Michonne cuts their heads off and to keep them quiet, which was also surprising because you know that they meant something to her. I believe it was her boyfriend and brother. So she has to cut their heads off. And then the people in trucks leave, and all of a sudden someone behind them pulls a gun on them. And Andrea turns around, and it's Merle. He's back, and he's got a, not robotic, but he's got a giant metal arm from where he had to cut his own hand off, and it's got like a blade coming out of it that he uses to like uppercut zombies, I guess. So that was pretty cool to see him again. I always think Mallrats when I see this guy. That's just the first thing that pops into my mind. Was he the... I can't remember if he was the principal in Problem Child. No, that wasn't him. I don't think that was him. But he was in Mallrats. He really hasn't aged that much, now that I think about it. But anyways, so Merle shows up, and this causes Andrea to faint. She's very surprised. So she wakes up in a hospital-type room. Merle comes in to talk to him, and he asks about Daryl, and she says she hasn't seen him in a while since they got separated, and they're being taken care of, but they want to leave. Andrea's like, what do you want from us? And he says, I'm giving you food, medicine, you're taken care of, and you want to know what I want from you. And I thought, good point. So of course they want to leave for some insane reason because they're being held captive. It's just ridiculous. So the guy in charge, the governor, tells them that they're free to leave, but on their way out, they see that it's an entire town. And we find out Woodbury is the name of this place, and it's a whole city protected by these soldiers at the end of each road. So they see how effective they are at keeping the town safe, and Michonne is just pissed she can't have her sword. I'd say, you know what, here's your sword, go out in the woods, try your luck there. That's what I would have said. But, I mean, they're just complaining the entire time. You're just taking up more of their supplies anyway. I don't even know why they want them there. It would just be easier just to send them on their way, because why waste your own food and supplies on people who don't want to be there? But I'm sure there's going to be more revealed later. I do not read the comic books, so I'm just saying, you know, what I see on the episodes. So I don't know what happens later. I'm sure there's some twisted reason the governor wants them around. But for right now, I don't see why when they're just complaining. So they think that he killed the dead soldiers. They ask him what was that about, and he says, well, when you die, you turn into a walker. They didn't know this. And if you remember, at the end of Season 2, Andrea was already separated from the group when Rick told the others. So she didn't know. So they find out about this. The next day, Andrea sees the townspeople. There's 74 of them. It's like a little village. The injured soldier is telling the governor what happened and how one of them was bit, and everything went to hell pretty much, so they tried to escape in the helicopter, but there's more of them. And the governor promises to save his men as long as he tells them where they're at. He'll go pick them up. So they have a science team, we see, where they've taken Michonne zombies to study them, and they find out that she was using them as a repellent. And apparently they become docile when they have no way to eat. So by cutting off their jaws, it kind of made the zombies tame in a way. And they also find out that zombies do starve. It's just a lot slower than we do, but they do starve. So Andrea and Michonne have breakfast with the governor and one of the science guys, and once again, Michonne just wants her weapons. That's it. The governor finds the soldiers group, and he tells them, hey, we got your friend. He's back at this village we've built. We come to pick you guys up. The soldiers are all happy. They're saved. Governor pulls a gun and shoots one of them. And I'm thinking, damn. So then his team is in the woods, and they just kill the rest of the soldiers. So at first I'm thinking he wants to pick up these soldiers because it's manpower, more people to guard the town. And I think he's against that because it's just more people he can't control. If he brings in new elements, like this pack of soldiers who have weapons that they're not going to want to give up, he's not going to be able to control them. So instead he kills them and takes their weapons. So I guess it kind of makes sense from a twisted villain point of view. But he bashes one of the dead soldiers, dying soldiers' heads in with a gun. Because you never waste a bullet, he says. So they're just really building this guy up to be a horrible villain. So back in town, the governor tells the people that they went to save the soldiers, but were too late. However, they had some weapons, medicine, and food, so they're going to honor their sacrifice. It's all bullshit. The next day, they go to... Oh, wait a minute. I skipped over to my notes on Dexter. Where was I here? Okay, so at night, we see the governor, and he goes into his room. He's got this weird room in his house. And he's just sitting there, and we see that he's got a collection of tanks full of heads. Zombie heads, and some human heads, I believe. Because it looks like he's got Michonne's zombies' heads in these tanks. And also the dead soldier, who they saved. And he's just staring at this, and the episode ends. So I have no idea why he has these heads in a tank. But yeah, it was pretty shocking. So definitely not a good guy. Andrea and Michonne aren't going to have the option to leave for much longer, I think. So I'm interested to see what happens here. It looks like next week it's going to be Andrea and Michonne's group along with some of Rick's group back at the prison. So eventually these two stories will, cross. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see what's going on back at the prison. But this is not a bad story arc so far. I have enjoyed the Woodbury Governor story. So very good episode this week. And that's my review of this week's episode of The Walking Dead. Hope you guys liked this video. Leave your thoughts on this week's episode in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Bye.